Okay, I'm going to try this again. The one comment I saw, I made a video last night and people were asleep and I was quite quiet. And the only comment I saw last night was, there's no audio, but I listened and there was audio, but I have fairly good speakers. If I have to crank it up, a lot of you probably can't hear it. And I want it to be able to be heard, and it's a message to confederal socialists. But as usual, you know, anybody can partake in this issue. And I don't really want to bring it up because I like to let people form their own reputation with me, you know, not base it on other things. But I did get contacted various ways about this, and I saw the drama with Brain Police, and I saw Fake Sagan's accusation, and I saw this guy, I forget his handle now, who's a white nationalist, national socialist, saying that you, confederal socialist, had self-described as a white nationalist at some time, had attempted to. You can change your position, but this is also a pretty serious accusation, so while I normally would not take it into account, I can't really just entirely ignore this issue, because some of this stuff doesn't add up. I mean, I thought your description of white nationalism as a purity fetish was pretty insightful, but the picture of you trying to label yourself one thing after the other, you know, is potentially an issue. I mean, we do want our arguments to be sincere. I mean, if you're trying to strengthen arguments for white nationalism, for example, you know, that might be of interest to me. I pretty much think whatever you learn from a conversation with me is yours to use as you see fit. But on the other hand, if we're really discussing white nationalism, I don't want to pretend to be discussing something else. It's a very serious accusation. You should consider naming yourself. But the thing is, the reason it's so serious is it is a fetish. There's a problem there. And if you still have those kinds of feelings, or if you don't, I mean, it's interesting for us to delve into them, you know, and to figure out what caused that and how that might still be affecting your thinking. And we can try to separate it out, but you know, and I'm sympathetic that you don't want to really be trapped with everything you've ever said. You ought to be able to move on, and I do believe that you can move on. I'm still gonna form my own opinion based on your behavior, and if you want to move on or tell me, it's fine. But it's the kind of thing that once you have said, of course, those are your words. You can be held to them, and yeah, you can move on, but you might be held to explaining that you have moved on and why and how that all works. I've seen some of your latest explanations, your stuff on IQ, and I haven't seen the videos on IQ and race, but I know that that's part of the argument. You know, I think that's a pretty stupid line of reasoning, that whole issue. It bugs me. But, you know, I'm not going to tar and feather you forever because of that, especially if you've abandoned it, even if you just abandoned it because you realize there's no winning there. But, I mean, it's also worth asking these questions and sorting this stuff out, you know, how did you come to think this way? You know, you sort of present something of, oh no, you went to white nationalists because they're also against the status quo, and it's just like marketing for anarchy. But it would be a very terrible thing if when you march into Washington, D.C. with your anarchistic revolution or law or whatever, if your support is a bunch of white nationalists. That's not really going to help anarchy look good. The fact that it enables white nationalism is something that could be held against it, and should be. You know, if that was a bulk of who it appealed to, that would be a problem for your philosophy, so of anarchism. On the other hand, you do seem very intelligent, and I believe in free speech and free thought and the exploration of ideas, including, you know, and especially sometimes forbidden ideas that you're just told not to even investigate. It's better we do investigate them. On the other hand, it's also better if we pass that test and realize and know why we realize that those things, you know, are total bullshit. So you don't have to reply to this, and I understand if you don't want to talk about it anymore, and in which case, yeah, don't reply, you don't have to reply. But I wanted to tell you because I think it's become a part of the conversation. If I'm having a conversation with you, these are serious accusations, okay, and serious enough that I can't just pretend not to have heard them, especially in the chance that maybe we will dig down to some remaining, ideas that are related to that sort of thinking. I don't want to have entirely ignored this argument because it's not purely just reputation. No, it's based on things that you've said. So it's something that in a conversation with you maybe does have to be sorted out. And again, I understand why you might not want to do that, but on the other hand, it's your words and you brought it on yourself in that sense. So I think it's fair, especially since I'm willing to listen with an open mind, and give you a chance to have a new set of ideas or a different set of ideas or to express yourself differently. So I'm willing to do this with, to be fair and have good faith in this. So it's also fair to to admit and inform you that I do think this sort of a thing in your thinking is an issue, and so that's my message on this, and it could be taken just as a notification, I guess.